Oh my gosh,
Go.
this should be live. Galactic, I'll let you do the listening to make sure our audio and video is coming through, but like we should be on the internet and it should be playable after the stream. So you might be seeing this not live, and that's okay too. So it's great to have you guys here. I am joined in the video Discord by Galactic, Victoria, Mama Bree 30, Null Value Point, and Hacking God. It's great to have you guys all here. I am none other than Lake05. I don't know what to tell you. I can't help it. I am in such a good mood tonight. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm about to tell you about a secret project I've been working on for a couple months, and that's very exciting. But before I get started telling you about it, Galactic Audio, how we doing?
Sounds good on my end. I'll double check. I'm just going to mute myself and double check.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so with that going good, we are ready to dive into a brand new app I've been developing. So if you go to video.com, that's this website here, there's under Tools, the terrain generator, which will lead you over here. Also, bottom of the page is a link to the Discord. I've also put it in the description of the video, so feel free to do that as well. And on here, I've got an alpha build for you guys to test. You can click on this to go to the Google Drive folder. My intention right now is that if I finish this app, which I'm not guaranteeing because I'm putting no pressure on myself to do so, I'm gonna sell it in the app stores for like $5. So right now it's free, try it out, have fun. But anyway, feel free to donate if you want to, and if you do donate, I'll give you a free access code or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, that's my plan for this app. It's like sell it for $5. I don't know. It seems like a decent price for a tool that I think is pretty valuable because I want to make 3D modeling easy and fun like it is in Horizon with primitives, and so that's what I've been working on. So anyways, we got Mac OS and a Windows version. I'm hoping one day to make some sort of VR 3D modeling tool, but that's not today's agenda. We're still sticking with desktop tools for now. I have this over here somewhere. Let's find the 4.2 version. And Unity, app exports, 4.2, here it is. Okay, so welcome to 4.2, and it's got a cool loading sound. So some of the buttons don't work, like I haven't got undo and redo yet, save as isn't a thing, about and help I haven't created yet. This video will basically be the first time we're getting anything close to an about or help. Settings does work, which allows you to show debug menu stuff or load your last save file, so that's kind of cool. Video.com works, Discord works, donate button does not yet work. That'll be in the next update. Okay, now you got a quick rundown of the type file menu. In here, we need to first create a new item. And so I've got like notes around here for stuff that I want to work on. So like you might see things that are just like ugly, but that's why. So you can put in a project name, doesn't really matter, I'm not going to. You can decide how wide you want it to be. So like these are meters, so you think of like the grid in Horizon, and these are the columns, which is how many segments you're gonna have in your grid. So like this is 1-to-1, right? 16 columns for 16 meters, so 1 meter. And you'll see what that looks like in a second. So we'll just go ahead and click create. Here we can see the world. I can fly around it. So I'm using my WASD keys to move, and I've also got R and F to like spin, and then I have Q and E to move up and down. So we'll move up a little bit, move out a little bit. So we can see our grid, and we can also change our radius, and this is what the effect of our interaction is going to be. So what do we want to affect when we apply? And if you click, you move to that position, and if you click outside, it moves you back to the center. And so I'm going to start with 100%. I'm going to switch from a simple tool to the Perlin noise tool, which I think is the most fun. We can then make this a massive effect, and then we can change the intensity of this to be really smooth waves. And if I fly around it, you can see there are waves here. And let's go ahead and just take a look at that. If I hit apply, we can now see that I've applied some smooth waves to create the terrain. We can then increase our Perlin multiplier to get noisier. And now let's lower the intensity of how much we want to apply. You can see the preview is those dots. And then when I hit apply, this is going to just add some noise to the thing here, so it looks a little bit noisier, less smooth, right? Like we don't want this to look smooth. And you can start to see like the edges, and so this is a 16, so every meter has got 1 square on it, right? So that's 2 triangles per square, and so that's looking pretty neat. And if I wanted to lower it, I might go to like simple and then just be like, let's lower the whole thing evenly by like 2 meters and then just hit apply. And now it's moved down. That's a little too much. I'll go back up by about 0.8. There we go. Good. And so now that I've got that nice where I like it, the next thing we're going to do is switch to the flatten tool, which is fantastic for building like little areas that you want to have as little flat areas. And so we're going to decrease our radius a little bit more. And then lower this, lowers the flatten point. I can then hit apply, and it flattens that area to those points. And so we've now got a flattened area there. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. It's going to take a second here to zoom in. There we go. And
Whoa.
yeah, so was that Galactic?
I said, whoa.
Oh.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so now that we're in, and I can still fly around with my tools a little bit here using my WASD keys. I'm still working on that. It's not perfect, but it is at least better. Like, it was the latest version that I added flying around, and I was like, okay, this is good enough to like start sharing with people. You can actually move. So it was a nice update. We can now, say we want to just affect a single point. We should be able to, and then switch to like simple. And then on that single point, I could increase it to be like ridiculously high. Somehow I accidentally clicked the wrong spot. Other little bugs I need to work on. We'll go ahead and hit apply, and that lifts up a single point. I can then fly away or rotate around it. And you'll notice if I click on that point, it's going to move us upwards to center our view on that point. So we can do like a circle, and that's kind of neat. So yeah, and then if I don't have an undo button, but in the future it's going to undo and just like basically do that. So that's kind of cool. And there's some save functions. So it just saved the file somewhere. You can then open the file. So that's probably under projects, terrain, saves, VTG. This was just saved right now. Yep, so here's the file. And so a VTG file stands for Video Terrain Generator. And it just stores the coordinates of everything. And then you can also export it as an OBJ file. And you can give it a name if you want, or you can just click export. And if we look in that folder exports, you can see the OBJ file is also exported with an MTL file. And when you open up an OBJ file in Blender, it's going to reference the MTL file and automatically want to link up to your texture, which is this texture you see here. This is just a standard texture I'm using for building this app. But in the future, I plan to have it so you can like swap the textures out. I'd love to do more than that, but I don't want to promise anything I can't guarantee, so I'm not going to. But anyway, that is... Oh, I guess there's one other really cool tool that you need to see. So increase the radius to 100%. Change the start... Well, leave the start angle at 0, but lower the angle from 360 to just 45. And you can affect one diagonal. And so in the original reason I built this was because my good friend FlexTie was working on a world where he wanted to build it like what is that movie called? The one where they have the people killing each other. That's such a generic thing to say. What is that movie called with Katniss Everdeen? Oh my gosh, I cannot. I'm just drawing
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. So in Hunger Games they have that circle thing, right? So this allows you to apply to that just segment, right? So you could lower that segment, or you could rotate around and lower a different segment. And so if you wanted to just affect 1/4 of the terrain, you could do that. And it's kind of cool. So you might build some mountains there and then rotate around and do something over here. And then the cool thing is you can also click to other places, so you don't have to just apply this to where you're at. You could apply it across, let's do it right there. So if you are building not necessarily in a circle, you can use it still too. So pretty neat stuff. So yeah, feel free to try that out. That's on the website, and I guess I'll save this because it's not terrible. It's terrible, but it's not that terrible. I don't know. So yeah, check that out, and there we go. So that's the Video Terrain Generator at video.com. And welcome to the live stream. If y'all just joined, hey Tay, oh my gosh, yo, welcome in. So great to have you. I'm so excited to have viewers. I was doing this last minute, super crazy, super grateful that you showed up. But yes, please feel free to try it out. I'm still working on it, but my main principle is 3D modeling is difficult. I want it to be fun, like the early days of Horizon. And Horizon is pushing towards 3D models. It's kind of no secret at this point. And so I'm really hoping they release these tools for everyone to import 3D models so that you can import the 3D models you build in my terrain generator. And that's actually why I started with that, because tonight what I want to do on the live stream is build a new 3D model generator. Let's see. Hey, everybody. Bop, bop. So, Tay, if you are in the video Discord, you can join us in the call right now and chat live. So feel free to do that. We're here in the lunchroom on the video Discord. Would love to have you. So get ready for maybe the most exciting thing you are going to hear if you are a fan of video. If you're not, and you haven't been around long enough to know what I'm about to say, it's okay. But I've got to tell you, I'm so excited. We're going to be bringing back Pop Pop as a brand new world. It's my next project I want to work on. I know.
Yeah?
I know.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Yep.
See? There's going to be a few of those. If you know, you know, right? Like Pop Pop.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pop Up to me was one of the most insane things we ever built. Like, I built it, I filmed the entire thing, I uploaded I guess I didn't film the entire thing, I filmed it afterwards, and I explained how everything worked on a video. And to me, it was like the first time I'd built a whole game, and then I showed everybody online how it worked, and I was like, here's the whole code, go have fun! Like, you can go build, like, a copy of this if you wanted. And I was just like, go for it, I don't care! And it blew up. I mean, for the early days that game was extremely popular, and we learned so much about the limits of Horizon. We really did. And so
yes, we did.
I'd love to come back to it, and it was because of a YouTube comment, honestly. YouTube comment said, hey, I'd love to see a Pop Pop too, and I was like, you know, I would too! Like, and I've been thinking about it ever since I saw that a week ago. And so now I'm committing. And so what I wanted to build was, let's see, terrain, floating islands. Floating islands, low poly. This is what I want to build. And I want to do, like, this. Yeah, so let's see some good stuff in here. But the problem is my terrain generator only does the top half. It doesn't do the bottom half. And so, like, I got to give a huge shout out to Mercat, who built the very first islands and designed the entire aesthetic of Pop Pop, because it was so gorgeous and phenomenal. It had kind of like this aesthetic going for it. And I kind of want to go more for this aesthetic, where you got like the kind of, I don't know, low poly geometry at the bottom, kind of triangling down. And so I wanted to build some sort of tool in Unity to make this easier to build. And I realized that's going to be way out of scope for doing in a live stream. But I thought we'd just kind of like get started, have some fun, hang out, and that's what we're doing here. So, but yeah, so I'm hoping if I can build this tool, it'll make building more 3D modeling tools in the future easier. It's like, I've refused to learn Blender, which is so dumb, I know, because I want to go build better versions of it that I like. And so, like, that's kind of my goal. And so what I'd really like, and I'm not going to be able to, maybe I will, I don't know. What I'd really like to do is take a terrain that you draw, like in the terrain generator I've currently built, flip it upside down, and then allow you to go into VR and pull down on each of the segments to make it look like this. That's kind of like my dream version.
That would be cool.
Because
like
I love the 3D
out.
modeling version of like building. And so what my thought was, is I would start by building a tool that allows you to like draw a shape. That turns into, yeah, and then basically you're extruding it into two sides, and then you can affect each side by clicking on, oops, I clicked on the image, but you can like click on a point, and then in the desktop version, there'll be sliders on the left to move that point around. So you'll have like an up and down slider, a left and right slider, a forward back slider, and that will be your way of moving it. But then in VR, you'll just grab the point with your hand and move it around. That's the idea, at least. So,
awesome.
Some design inspiration over here. Some friends in the chat. Welcome in, Tay. Great to have you. So, super, super excited. And we are going to, feel free to use the chat here. I'm going to look very, very lightly, but we are in Discord. I've left a link to the Discord in the description. So feel free to check that out and join us here if you'd like. We're in the lunchroom. Also, I've got this for laughs. I have this for talking, but I haven't used it at all. Facepalm. This is the only thing I've had today. I promise. I don't know what's wrong. Not a sponsor. Just the only fizzy water that doesn't hurt my throat. So, okay. I realize there's this black bar over here. I should really put some art there. Let's see. Add image. I know, this is so dumb and cringe to do last minute, but just like, I should be able to click on the one on the desktop that I just made, right? So we go to this, press open, press OK, move that to the bottom, and then just slide it so it looks cool. I'm gonna like scale it a little bit maybe. Okay, now it's not as trashy of a live stream. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you sticking around despite my trashy last minute live stream attempts. That's so dumb. Okay, minimize this, and it's time to run into Unity Hub. There we go. So I've been using Unity. It's relatively easy to build a 3D model in Unity and then export it as a 3D model, which is kind of the reason I'm in Unity right now. Kind of. I know there's Unity's just drama, so like I don't want to get into the drama. I'm just using Unity, okay? So it is what it is. Okay, so loading up the terrain generator. And we're going to make a brand new scene. So if you've never used Unity before, welcome. And if you have, you probably know more than I do. So I'm going to create a brand new scene over here, which is like almost like creating a brand new world, but you get to keep some of your scripts and stuff. So I'm going to create a scene and then call this, I call this island generator for now. And I think it would be fun to just like generate a couple islands and see what they look like. And so I need some stuff from the terrain generator, but I'm gonna just figure it out on the fly. Okay, so we're in here, and the first thing we need is like an empty object, which is gonna be our island. And then this island is gonna need some stuff, so we hit add component, and we need to add a mesh filter and a mesh renderer. And that's what's gonna allow us to make meshes on an empty object. And so then I need to add a script. And so I think I'm gonna go create a brand new script. I'll just click, we'll just click on this and call this island generator. And so I think the first thing to do is like generate an island that looks just trashy, but at least like get something. Create an add. Okay, so we got an island generator script. I'm gonna move it into my, I'm gonna leave it out here. I'll organize it later. Now I'm gonna open that in VS Code. If you've never used VS Code, this is going to be some scary, scary stuff, but it's really not. And at some point, I'm going to make loads of tutorials on VS Code, but that is not today. So we are going to start. Over here, I've got all my scripts and stuff just laid out. I'm going to kind of close it down so it looks cleaner, but that's fine. So I don't like these comments. I don't like the formatting, so I should hit Shift-Alt-F to apply my default formatting. And so now we've got a start method, which is like when world has started. And I'm going to assume everyone watching this has familiarized themselves with Horizon code blocks, which is inevitably not going to be the case, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so we've got a start method. But the first thing we need to do is kind of like start generating some mesh. Now I've got a script that already does this. So if I go into like generate mesh, there it is. So this is the like terrain generator mesh generation thing. And it does a bunch of stuff that I barely even remember how it works. So you should probably use this. And so I'm thinking that, and it says start, we don't do anything because we started by using a create mesh. So I did this create mesh thing, which creates vertexes, it creates indices, and then it renders the mesh. So let's copy this and just start with that kind of like as our main point. And so I'm gonna paste this. And so this is called a method, and so anything inside of a class is a method, and then functions are out here. So like this is where a function would go. But like those are technical details. We're not gonna get into it. But anyway, if you hear me using words that you're not familiar with because we use events in Horizon, it's because I'm using the technical terms for coding, and I'm so sorry. But anyway, we're gonna call create mesh on start, and that is going to hopefully create us a mesh. Now we don't have a vertex grid. And so we should probably create one. So we're gonna create this method. So yep, we'll just copy that. Void create vertex grid, curly braces, go here if you're in C#. I do a lot of coding in C# and in TypeScript, so like sometimes that will mix your head up. But anyway, there's just different formattings for each of the two languages. So we got create vertex grid, which will do something here. So let's go check that out and see what it does. So here it says, it goes into a global variable file, which is how I create saves and stuff in the terrain generator. And it says GV vertex positions clear. So it's an array of vector 3s. So that's just a vector to you in Horizon. And UVs is a list of vector 2s, which is very similar to a vector. It just has X and Y, not X, Y, Z. And then it's going to go through that and do a bunch of math. And so this is what we're just going to copy for now and then like make a better version of this. But like I said, we just want to like start by getting something working. So Command V, Shift Alt F to reformat. We're not going to use global variables, but we are going to use vertex positions and UVs. And so then up here, I need to define what those are. So we're going to create a couple variables, vertex positions, which is, I forgot, I'm in Unity, C#, got to type, it's a vector 3, and then it's a vector 3 array called vertex positions, which equals an empty array. There we go. And it doesn't like that because I have to say it's an array of vector 3s, which I've forgotten how to do. Vector 3, not happy? Okay, let me go look it up. So I'm originally creating this new list. Okay, no, that's a list. That's how lists work. That's not how arrays work. Oh, is it because it is a list? It is a list, isn't it? If I hover over it, I bet it's a list. Because lists have a lot of nice functions. Yes, it's a list. Okay. So it is not a vector 3 array. It is a vector 3 list. And if you're confused by that, trust me, it is confusing. So we say list of type vector 3. And so a list has features like add and remove and like other stuff, whereas arrays don't have those features. Arrays are kind of like static. And so that's why I'm using a list. New list of type vector 3, delete that. Okay. And then what did I miss? Oh, curly, I have to call it by using parentheses. Okay, so we got that, Command save. We got our vertex positions. We're gonna Command C, Command V, and we're gonna make another one called UVs, which is the same name we used down here, right? Yes. And then we want to change this to be vector 2. Vector 2, there we go. And then for these, I think this is great, but this is like not enough because this is only the top half and not the bottom half. And since we're trying to make an island, we're gonna need a bottom and top half. So let's double this up and we'll just copy paste this and have a bottom and a top. But does that work? How do we do a bottom and top? I guess that's where this math comes in right here. So we'll do the bottom first, or the top first, then the bottom. So we've cleared the lists. Then we say for int z is less than the width segments. So we're just going to define this to be like 16 by 16 for now. Just make a real basic starting point. And then we're going to go up by 1 at a time. And we'll do the same thing here. So for 16 by 16. And then we're taking X%, which is how far across it is already. And then we need to know how many there are. So we do that divided by 16 again. And then same thing here. And then that was converting it to a float, but we can just type F after this to convert it to a float. So just delete this, so we don't need that anymore. Perfect. Looks good. And then we need a lerp. You guys know lerp. Everybody knows lerp. We love lerp. Yell out in the chat if you like lerp. Lerp. Woo! Okay. not a single holler. Okay. I love lerp. Great to have you guys. A late holler is still welcomed, just FYI. Anyway, so lerping allows us to go between 0 and the maximum, and then the percentage is how far between those two values it is, more or less. And so what we're doing here is getting the position, and so the x min is going to be -8, and the x max is going to be +8. We're just hard coding these with magic numbers for now. We really shouldn't do that, but for now it's okay. We'll fix it later. Okay. So we got from -8 to +8 for both of those. And then we need to add to this vertex positions, backspace, same with the UVs. And so if you're not familiar with the math of creating a grid inside of a list, you basically have one at a time. So like the first 16 are the first row, the second 16 are the second row. And so the thought process here is after we've done the first 16 times 16, we're gonna do the second half of the array as our bottom half. And so the first half is the top of the island, and the second half will be the bottom of the island. And that's kind of like the main reason I'm so excited to try and solve this problem, is because it's a real problem that needs to be solved, is how am I going to make this 3D model modifiable? So I have to think about that. There is some features in Unity where if you click on the screen and you click on a 3D model, it tells you which like triangle or which like thing you're clicking on. And so I'm thinking that could be super useful for modifying the 3D model, but we'll have to come back to that. Okay, so now that we've created the top half, maybe we'll just quickly finish that and then we'll add the bottom half in a second. So I'll just add a little note here that says add bottom half of island, exclamation points. Okay, so that is good. Command save. Now we need to create the indices, so we'll just go grab this whole thing because copy and paste is nice. So if you didn't catch what was happening in this first script, it loops through the Z's 16 times, and that's each of the rows. And then for each row, it goes through every column 16 times. So it does this, and then it does this 16 times. Then it does another one, and then it does this 16 times. And that's how that works, more or less. Okay, and then we got to create indices. So we haven't created an indices list, but we can do that here in just a minute. I can also use a real cool feature called change all occurrences and just hit backspace. Nice. So we also need this, which is going to be 16 is what we determined, and this is also 16, and this is also 16, and then we'll like I said, don't use magic numbers. Why am I doing this to myself? I should really create them up here and just like do it now. So we need a int, which is going to be called segments, and this is equal to 16, and then I can replace all 16s with this. So right click, find all occurrences, change all occurrences to this, and then change this one to 16, and this needs the F removed. There we go. Okay, so that is happy all over the place. Although, then this needs to be converted to a float, so let's add that back in, float. And Command C. So if you don't convert it to a float, it does the math using like floor basically. Anyway, it's gross. It just, you have to convert it to a float for it to do the math correctly. Okay.
The same for the 8. -8 to 8.
Oh, thank you. You're a lifesaver. Okay, Command C, Command V. We'll call this, I don't know. This is the width. This is the radius. It's a square, but it's a radius, whatever. So we'll call it 8. There needs to be a word for a radius on a square. I don't know what that word is, but like it needs to be a thing. Backspace Command V, backspace Command V.
It should have been cubed.
There we go. Okay, so then the last one to do here is the indices. Command C, Command V. Indices. And indices is going to be a list of ints. And then we'll just change that to int. And indices. It says I spelled it wrong because that's an... There we go. Okay. Because I did spell it wrong, that's why. Okay, so we clear the indices, and then int current index equals 0, next line index equals segments plus 1. A bunch of math went into this. Good job, Past Lakes. Appreciate you a lot. I have a function called get quad triangles, which calculates it. It's stored in probably one of my tool scripts. Helper functions, mesh functions. So basically you pass the northwest corner, the northeast corner, the southeast corner, and the southwest corner, which are indexes, which are ints, and then it converts that into 2 triangles. So this is triangle 1, 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 is triangle 2. And then so it's returning a quad, and that's, anyway, so that's a function. Okay, so we get the quad, and then we add that to, and now we're gonna loop through that a couple times, and that seems good. And then we're also going to need to make a note in here to don't forget to do bottom half, exclamation point, command save. Okay, last bit is to render the mesh. Now this is super easy. So I'll go generate mesh, render mesh, command C, command V, Okay, so Shift Alt F in case there's any weird formatting. So now we go my mesh equals a new mesh, and then my mesh.vertices is going to be our vertex positions converted back to an array, or into an array, and then we're going to do that same thing to indices for triangles, and the same thing for our UVs, and we need to recalculate normals, and then over here we use our mesh filter to define the mesh, and then mesh collider dot shared. Why that doesn't exist? Why does that not exist? That's probably a reference to the mesh collider, I would bet. Am I wrong? What is the mesh collider? There it is. Yeah, it's a reference. So up here at the top, I need to create a section. So we're just going to create some. This is called lists. It's going to be called space / variables, and then we need references. And we'll call this, yeah, we'll just call it that. So now we need a public. This is a reference to, what do we call that? That was a mesh collider. Is that what we're looking for? Yes, mesh collider. So mesh collider, which we'll call mesh collider, command save. Now it's happy. Okay, so now we've updated the collider as well. And that should build us a plane. It's not building us an island yet, but we should have a plane. So I'll go ahead and hit play. And I forgot to do the referencing on the island, because I always do. So we need to do mesh collider, which I probably haven't added. There it is, mesh collider reference. Okay. And did I forget anything else? I think that was the only thing I forgot. Oh, I forgot to give it a material so you can see it. We'll go into other, and I think we're going to use the terrain material for now. Go ahead and hit play. No. Game. Play. Focus. Okay, see if anything's happening. We're not getting any errors. Go to the scene and fly around. We could just be in a wrong angle to see this. Press island, press command F. Ah, there it is. Okay, so it did work. The problem is the location of this is super duper far away, so we need to move it back to 0, 0. And then if I look at the game, we should be able to see it. And then we'll need to readjust that after I stop. Yep, okay, so stop. And back up here, transform, move that back to 0, 0. Okay, done. And now our camera could go up a little bit, but I'm not that worried about it. Let's see. Hit play. Yeah, so that's okay. Maybe we'll move the camera back -20, and then move it up by 10, and then rotate it down. What, -45? No, not there. -45? Nope, not there. +45? Ooh, closer. 15. Happier. 25. There we go. Okay, so remember 10 minus 20. 10 minus 20, 25. And then hit play. Okay, so now we can see our island at a pretty decent angle. So what we need to do is duplicate this on the bottom side and then kind of extrude it downwards, I think is the idea. So let's go over here. And I think right here we were defining like the 0 as where it's starting. I also think I'm so glad that we made this radius, because I can now change that down to 4, make it smaller. And then the height we should define as another variable. And so we'll call this int top half height, which equals, we'll say maybe 10, maybe 5. And then we're going to use that where we were previously using 0. Okay. Command save. So that should just move it up by 5 meters when we render it, and it should be smaller now. Let's take a look. Nice. Okay, so now we can imagine seeing the bottom coming out of this. And so the next thing we want to do is create the bottom half of the island, which should be theoretically just copying this for loop and doing it one more time, but with slightly different math. Okay, so let's write down some comments here just to make sure it's noted. So this is like the bottom half. And then, oops, Command Z. // autocomplete sometimes is a little over. Okay, top half, bottom half. And okay, so this we know is working great. The bottom half has the same values and the same locations, which is okay. The biggest thing is the Y position needs to move downward if you're not on the edge. So if 0 or 0 or 16, it needs to use this top half height. And then otherwise we're going to use some math. So let's just go and add a if statement here. So say if, there's going to be something here. And then we'll add an else below that. Else. And Shift Alt F. Okay. And then move this up into the if. Command C, Shift Alt F. Fantastic. Okay. And so now we need to define some conditions. And so I know that we want to look for it being on an edge. So if Z equals 0, we know we're on one edge. Or if X equals 0, we know we're on another edge. And so the other edges are going to be when it equals 16. Does that make sense? Yes, because there's 17 sides for 16 segments, I think. So, or Z equals segments, or X equals segments. Okay, so I think those are the 4 conditions where we know we're on a side and we want to make sure it connects to the top half. And so then if we're on the bottom half, we want to move it downwards. We're going to take this same line of code, and then instead of using this top half height, we want it to be going down. So I think for now, just to prove that it's working, let's start with 0 and then see that. And so we're just going to put a red dot here to remind us to come back to this. And so what I want to do for our demo is just kind of like build a pyramid for now, just going down to make the island. And so then the create indices is going to be, let's see. Similar but different. So go ahead and copy this for loop, Command C, Command V. And this one's a little different because the indexes are going to be modified substantially. And so let's start by doing some comments again. Space, slash, top, half, and slash bottom half. Okay, nice. So then in the bottom half, when we are getting our indexes, let's see how this works. So we go through the zeros, segments, go through the zeros, segments, int new triangles equals mesh.get quad triangles. And so these are upside down. So we're going to need to reverse this. So this is definitely a problem. So if we think about this as the northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest corner, then when we go upside down and we're looking at it from the opposite, I kind of have to like imagine it in my brain. So like back to my crew. So we got like our cube, right? Point, boom, 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 right? I think that's what it says, right? Let me double check. It says northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. Northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. Okay, so it's definitely doing this motion, but then that's mirrored for the bottom side. So north, south, but then when you're below it, it's gonna have to go the opposite direction. So it starts over here. I hope. Pretty confident it starts over here. And so then this is the northeast becomes northwest. Northeast becomes northwest. Northwest becomes northeast. And then the souths flip as well. Okay, so it's north flip, south flip. That's pretty easy to follow. Okay, so we go over here and we just need to say this is +1. This one is not +1. This is not +1. This one is +1. Okay, there we go. Fix that. So now that we've determined the location for our triangles, also just note that if these are not in the correct order, it draws the triangle backwards. So like it renders it weird. So that's why this order matters so much. Which is why we're caring, because otherwise you won't see it. It'll be I forgot what the word is. I know Galactic would know it, but it just won't be visible. There's a toggle in Blender that you have to turn on. So for those of you in Blender, let me show you real quick because it's just 2 seconds away. And if you're working on any 3D model, let's see. In fact, I think this is a good point to show that 3D model we built earlier. File, import, object file. It wasn't on desktop, but it was in Horizon, Flex Ties World, app exports, projects, terrain, exports, OBJ, import. And so if you go over to, so if we look at the bottom of this, you can see it. But if we go to backface culling, that's the word I was looking for, you can see that when you're on the back side of it, you can't actually see it. And so that's why the order matters so much, is to make sure that it renders the right side. Okay, cool. Quick demo. Don't save. So then, back over here, we got our new triangles. We've made the new triangles, but there's a problem because the current index is right. Oh, it is right because current index comes from up here. So it already knows the current index. Interesting. Interesting. Happy thinking about this. I think I'm happy. I'm a little concerned that the current index might be off by 1 because it's adding 1 here and then adding 1 here. So the current index might be off by 1. I think if we see just weird rendering, we just like need to -1. Yeah. I'll put a comment here. May need to -1. We'll leave the red dot there. Question marks. Okay. So then for each int, we add it, and then we just move on. Is that really that simple? Is it really that simple? Okay, cool. Okay, are we done? No way. Was it really that simple to add a bottom half? It shouldn't have been, but maybe it is. Maybe it is that simple. I don't know. Oh, that's terrible, but it works. It's so bad. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Let me focus it. And let's see, we can fly around. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, it does taper in. It's just so bad. Are the edges matching up? It looks like they are. Okay, cool. Bottom's totally rendered. Yeah. Progress. Wait, is there no issues? That looks like an issue. Maybe that's the issue. Is that an issue? What the heck's going on there? Is that just... No, that's an issue. Isn't it? No. What? I'm so confused by that. Is that on all the triangles? Okay, so maybe that is the off by 1? But that... Oh, this whole side's off. Okay, there it is. We are off by 1. That is... well, hopefully it's that easy. Okay, so we just... Instead of adding 1, we don't do nothing, and then we -1 here. And then we -1 here, and then we don't add 1 here. Command save. See if that's right. Play. Okie doke. That looks worse. Am I crazy? I think that looks worse. Oh, that is so wrong. Never mind. I was closer before. Go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
This giving you early Murder Manor day nightmares feel? This feels like early Murder Manor nightmare feel, yeah. Galactic and I dealt with a lot of backface culling issues in the early days of Murder Manor. And that is what that looks like.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was not the answer. Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command save. Do not -1. Whatever that is, don't do that. So then... Maybe the math is off up here for this. So if this equals 0, if this is 0, it makes it top half height. Let's try to taper it down and see what it looks like. Although I know that's not the answer, but like we'll just see. So we know that as it approaches 0, as it approaches 8, so it's going to 16, so it's going to half a segments. As it approaches 0.5, if we're looking at the Z%, we know that 0.5 is going to be the high value. So if we were to use lerp from -1, no, from 0 to 1 to -1, no, that doesn't work. You can't lerp to 3 numbers. But that's basically what we want to do. So there's a way to mathematically do this. I know this. So if we take radius and we subtract, or excuse me, x percent. So they'll both be going from 0 to 0.5. So we're going to start by creating a new float. For reference, a float is a value with decimal points, and an int is one that's a whole number, in case anybody was wondering. And so this float's going to be called temp, because I can't think of a name for it, or ga, I don't know. What are the ones? Foo? Foo is one of the ones Waffle uses. We'll just use that. Okay, so we got a float named foo, and we need to take the two x percent and z percent and add them together. So we say x percent plus, foo equals x percent plus z percent, and then semicolon. So now this is going to create a value that ranges from 0 to 2. I don't know if that helps us. I'm going to need to think about that for a second. I think we need to do each of these separately. So let's put parentheses around it. And so now x percent ranges from 0 to 1. And we want, when it gets closer to 0, so if we, wait. So what I'm saying is if we say minus 0.5f, as we approach 0, we are closer to the center. So this, if it's an absolute value, so we say, I think it's math dot, yeah, there it is, absolute value. So if we get the absolute value of this, that's going to give us a whole number that ranges from 0 to 0.5, where the higher this number is, the further away from the center you are. And if we do that one more time for our other percent, Command C, Command V, we will now be doing both. So now we'll have from 0 to 1, where the closer you are to 0, the larger, further down you should be. And so where 1 is higher, so then if we do, I don't know if this is the right approach, but we're just going to put this in parentheses one more time. And then we're going to subtract 1. So now it ranges from -1 to 0. And then we call math.absolute value on this again. And that's going to give us a value where +1 is further away. So now if we multiply this by like the maximum, like the furthest down it should go. So we say, let's see, int bottom half height. Yeah, exactly. Bottom half height equals 6. No, it's 7. Let's do 7 or 8. Why not? Let's be crazy. I don't know why. Command C. And so then we're going to come down here, and then where we were calculating this as 0f, we're now going to calculate this as foo multiplied by bottom half height. And now this is an int. This is a float. The float should all be floats. This needs to be a float. That's a float. That's a float. That's a float. That's a float. If you can't tell, I have been cursed by this problem of not using floats in a math equation. And if you use an int, it'll screw all your math up. And you'll be like, what the heck's going on? So now this is a float, but this is an int. So we should convert that to a float. There we go. Okay, happy days. So now, that might not even be required, but like just out of absurd safety, that should give us kind of like a pyramid-like shape. I don't think it's gonna be close to a pyramid because I didn't try for a pyramid, but it should be like a pyramid. Oh my gosh, I did my math wrong, but it looks kind of cool. Oh man, I thought I was doing so good. I genuinely thought that was gonna work first go. That's actually pretty cool, but like not what I was looking for. Super cool, just not what I was looking for. Oh my god.
I'm a fan. That looks awesome.
Thanks, Galactic. Oh man, look at, and it's an inverted shape too on top. Oh, I lost it. Oh my gosh, this is crazy looking. Oh boy. Okay, so obviously
That's a new.
What'd you say?
You're making new shapes.
Oh,
Never seen
right?
before.
Yeah. I got this reversed, it looks like. But it's more than just reversed because it goes higher. So I think somewhere my math was off. Let me go and rethink what I was thinking and see if I can get the right thoughts. Okay, so we start with z% and x%. We know that these are x and z, which range from 0 to 16, divided by 16. So that should give us a decimal ranging from 0 to 16. And where 0 is closer to the edge, and 16 is closer to the edge, and 8 in the middle, or 0.5 for this value, the final value, is in the center. So this is right. These are definitely values where 0.5 is the center. So then, oh, I totally had it backwards. 0.5 is the center. Oh, okay, I can see what I did wrong now. I don't know why I thought I did overcomplicate this. So if 0.5 is the center, then we probably just need to take x% and then add. Oh, no, I can see why we were doing that. Never mind. Control Z. Let's see. Let's think about that. Okay. I love that it's at 0.5, but I can't use it when it's at 0.5. So by minusing 0.5, we get it to be where 0 is closest. And it starts at 0, which means it starts at negative 0.5. So this becomes 0 to positive 0.5. This becomes 0 to positive 0.5. And 0.5 is further away. So we then subtract 1 because the highest that can be is 1 minus 1 is 0. And then it should be lower than 0, meaning it's closer to the center. So if it's at the center, just quickly doing the math again, it's at 0.5. 0.5 minus 0.5 is 0. 0.5 minus 0.5 is 0. Minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 absolute value is going to return positive 1. Why does that seem like it's right? So then we take foo and we multiply it by the bottom half height. Let's console log foo real quick and just see what values we're getting, and then maybe console. Oh, forgot. Sorry, like I said, I use too many programming languages. There we go. Pause foo. And command save. Let's see. If you didn't catch that, console.log is from TypeScript, and debug.log is from C#. Anyway, there you go. Let's see what values we're returning here, and why is it so far off? Because it is off. Returned 1.9, 0, 20 times, 16 times, 0.75 times, 0.875. Ranges from 0.125 to 1. And that's what we'd expect because the edges are locked in place. So oh, is it because it's a negative value? This I put in as a positive of 8. It's supposed to be negative 8. Command. Oh no, it's supposed to be 0 or minus 3. Okay, this is starting to make sense. Command save. It was this value. I think that's wrong. Let's try that again. Stop. Play. Okay. I can't tell if that's better or extremely worse. Let's fly around real quick. Come on. Fly around. Oh, I full screened the wrong thing. Scene. Fly around. Oh, I mean, is the math right? It does come to a point. Like, maybe the math is right? It's not what I would have expected, but this edge is still gone. We have one edge to find. But it does come to a point. That's so strange. I guess that's like exponential. Like I said, it's not gonna look like a pyramid, I guess. I just didn't do the math in my head well enough to like see it. This corner is weird to me. I'm assuming the corner being weird here is part of the reason this isn't visible. That would be my guess. Okay. This has been a fun thought experiment, but it's time to level with you. This is the wrong approach. I just thought it would be super easy to get it working, and it kind of was, honestly. Like, that was pretty good for being so close. Also, Welcome in Senzu. Working on a 3 like this. We're trying to build some of these. That's our goal here today. We're not gonna do it today. It's just, but like that's what we're working towards. So thanks for joining though. In C# you can just use print as well. That might be just be a unit. Let me try it. Let's see. I haven't tried print. Appreciate you. Let's see what that does. I am relatively new to Unity, truth be told. I think I'm like 2 months in right now. Plus a month last year, maybe 3 months total. 4 months maybe? I don't know. But like I don't use it every day, so I don't really count them as like full months. It's like I use it a couple times a week. Where do we go? I didn't know I had that debug print. I didn't delete it. Just got lost in my thoughts. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna try print. Oh, that is pretty nice. Logs message to the Unity console. Identical to debug print. That is so much easier to use. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you very much. That was a fantastic tip. Print will not forget you. Red dot that. Okay, so let's see. So this is the wrong approach. It was fun. It was fun to make an island. For our new friend, this is a terrain generator I built, and we're kind of like we're piggybacking off of some of the code. And so if you didn't know, you probably didn't know, it picks up the last file you're working on. So when you save your file, when you return, it comes back to the last file. And so it's got some cool features like Perlin noise. You can also like flatten areas, and we just like choose how much we want to flatten it, and then hit apply, and then boom, and we do that in little places like that, and kind of create our own little hills. Anywho, it's a cool little app thing I've been working on, and we piggybacked off some of the code of this. And the problem is that it's using a cube. The idea for the long term is definitely to like make these more procedural would be nice, so I don't have to like design them. I'd love to have like a just generate button, because it's kind of just math, I feel like, and I'm really good at math. I love math. Don't watch the earlier part of the stream where I was failing at math. Just kidding. But let me see. Draw.io is one of my favorite websites. Discard, yes. Okay. Discard, yes. And decide later, because I am a terrible person. So what we were looking at was basically a cuboid. And so this is kind of the big first problem, is that it's a cube. And so all the math is based around this idea that we have a list of values, of vectors, and it's going to be a cube shape. And so we got to start thinking of a way to do this differently. And so I don't necessarily have an answer for that, but what I want to do is draw, like have users come into the app and draw a shape, right? This is a better line. And so they draw the outline of what they want their island to be. And then once they're done drawing it, Command C, Command B, then it's going to build a terrain out of that, which isn't easy or necessarily straightforward to do. Let's see. I've built quite a few like 3D model generators, and Unity is like the only thing I've been focused on since I picked up Unity. But the this is hard because there's no clear area for where to divide it. It's not a cube. Like it's like if we were looking at the squares behind this, you can just see they don't line up. It's not perfect, right? So we know for certain that if we were to build this, we would be putting like, there would be a vertex point here. It's trying to Command C, Command V. And here, sure, do your thing. Command C, Command V. And here. And so like that adds its own problems. There's a tool or like a math equation set. What is it called? And what it does is I think it's called triangulate, and it's based off some other thing. And what it's going to do is it's going to try to convert these into triangles, or those are not straight lines, but let's pretend they are. This is such a not straight line. Oh my gosh, this is like the worst. Oh my gosh, it couldn't get any worse than that. But anyway, yeah, so That's a pretend. And so what it does try to do is it tries to triangulate it into triangles for you. These are so bad. Command C, Command C. I would be so much better off doing it by hand. And so it's going to go in and say, oh, look, I found a point. Let's draw a triangle there. Command C, Command V. Let's draw another triangle there. Oh, look it, we've made 3 triangles. Fantastic. We're done. But the problem with this is now you don't have a level of detail. And so I guess we could go through and say, okay, we have a level of detail 2 where it doubles the number of triangles. It just goes from every triangle, chooses the peak of each triangle, and then draws down to the center point of this line and creates 2 more triangles. Like, that's an easy to do math function, right? Command C, Command V. And then you could do that over and over again. And so once you write the code one time, you just have to do it over. You just like loop through it. And so you take your first set of triangles and it's like, okay, so level 1 is almost no detail, right? Level 2 is tons of detail. And remember that shading is going to be based off the amount of detail. And so you could triangulate it and then do just some function that's going to divide each triangle into 2 triangles. And then you could do that a 3rd time and then a 4th time. And then people could get a ton of detail out of that. And then the question in my mind is, how do you store that data and modify it easily, right? Like, I'm doing it in an array right now, which is super duper easy. And so I think Unity may have some tools that I want to look into for modifying 3D models, because I know when you click on a 3D model, you can get a user's like input click, which triangle they clicked on. And so I'm imagining there might be other information there. And so I might just want to work with the 3D model itself. But yeah, that's the basic principle. So long working on making floating islands as well. I was at it trying to do marching cubes method. Oh, okay. I know marching cubes by name, but it's been a while since I've seen it. Let's see. Images. Okay, look at that. Let's take a look. Boom. Boom. Yes, so I think this is just another one of the algorithms used for triangulation, and I'm not super familiar with them. I was really hoping to just find one that works, but they've all got their own little like things. And I think in my original days of like learning about triangulate, I was trying to just learn how to do it on my own. Triangulate points into 3D mesh. And I think that might be also part of the problem is I was thinking of 3D models. This is a 2D surface at this point, and we're just doubling it up, right? We're creating a top half and then a bottom half, and then extruding the bottom into some sort of like island shape, and then maybe the top can get some like rough edges with Perla noise or something like that. So that's a lot easier for Triangulate to work on, whereas if you have a 3D mesh of points, it might not know exactly where to go to. So like that becomes potentially a problem. But I literally haven't looked into it in a while. So I might just have to kind of like run through and see. I think when I was looking at the draw.io, I was thinking about what about when you have larger segments? So like, let's undo the secondary triangles. And then welcome in. If you just joined us, we are live. Great to have you. We're on the Lakes is Live YouTube channel. And if you're on the YouTube channel and want to join us in Discord, you can do that. The link's in the description. We're in the lunchroom on the Discord. Sebastian, yes, I have. If you have a recommendation of his, please let me know. So I was thinking if we dragged this out and this triangle became like super big, that could be problematic, where you start getting different size triangles was something I was thinking about. So you could imagine a case maybe where it's like this even. So if I created a really simple, you're about to tell me that Sebastian did a video on Triangulate and I'm gonna go watch it and it's gonna change my life. And then like you might have one way over here, right? And then all of a sudden, you've got 2 tiny triangles and 1 large triangle. And this instinctively as a human being, I would say automatically should be broken into a smaller triangle. Like I just look at that and I say, yes, divide that into 2 more triangles. And maybe there's a way to like pretty easily write a function to calculate the area of this triangle and then be like, these 2 are super small, this one's super big, split the big one. Like try to make them even. and then just use the splitter to make them relatively even, and then you get back to just normal splitting when you want to go further than that. But I think that was like the only slight concern I had about like triangulating. But I think it would be relatively easy to just say, okay, you have 1 point. It's going to be a circular shape for this, at least this island generator, and then diagonal out to all the points, then check each triangle. I think that's a possible method. This seems like a pretty possible triangulate method that should work for this specific use case. But oh wait, no, it doesn't, because I just remembered. What if your user decides they want to have like an interesting looking island, which I don't blame them for or fault them, and it has points that make U shapes, and that's where triangulate comes in as well. Ugh, I'm gonna have to go watch this video, dude. If you're about to link me to a video, I'm gonna be so stoked. But yeah, so that's where this would become a problem, is like if that was the shape of the triangle, and then you're like unable to draw a line from here to this one, because that would mess it up. So yeah, that method doesn't work. Definitely gone down this path last year when I was thinking about this first time. Welcome in, Locke. Wishlist on Steam. But in Unity tools, look into polybrush or polybrush. Yes, I'm gonna just write this down. Sebastian, triangulate, question mark. Okay, there we go. Noted for future. So I think that's kind of that. And then I'm kind of also thinking like, how do I optimize this to run really, really efficiently? Because we're looking to run this on a VR headset ideally. Like I'd love to be able to jump into VR and be able to pull on this shape and modify it. So ideally in my head, it generates a shape, and then after that you can modify it. And if I can do that, then I feel like it's not too far off to imagine a tool where you can bring in 3D models you designed anywhere and then modify them. Like that's kind of the thought in my brain at least. So I feel like this is like a stepping stone towards a future app to be developed. So, okay. I think that might actually be where I'm going to end today's live stream. But if you didn't catch the beginning of this, on our website you can download the terrain generator. That is vidu.com. And you go to Tools, Terrain Generator. Alpha build is free to try. It's in the Google Drive folder. Still a work in progress, but feel free to check it out. Feel free to use our Discord to comment. I haven't officially created a channel for it anywhere. At some point, I will do that. But thank you guys so much for joining. I don't make a lot of videos anymore because I'm in Discord, responding to people in Discord, but appreciate you guys coming to hang out tonight. And we will hopefully do some more live streams. This was a lot of fun. So huge shout out to Lindsay, Galactic, and Mama Bree 30. Two of those are the same. Don't ask who. They were my support to make this live stream happen tonight. Greatly appreciate you too.
Let's go.
Murder Manor merch online, vidu.com/merch. Galactic, you're gonna show off your merch. We're gonna do a quick merch show off right now.
All right, fine.
If you don't know, Galactic designs merch for Vidu.
I didn't. I was just there at the time.
You were like, I was just there. The octopus, it's so good. I love it. I love it so much.
And
Yep.
yeah, it's probably my favorite actually.
So yeah, anyway, definitely no pressure, but huge shout out to Galactic. Really appreciate her making some awesome, fun merch to wear. And if you have never played Murder Manor, it's in Horizon Worlds. It's a VR app. Horizon Worlds.
Do it.
Murder Manor. It's pretty good. We built it last year. It's a lot of fun, and it's taken off. I did not expect it to perform so well, and it just hit 155,000 unique visitors, which I did the math is roughly almost 1% of all VR users have been in Murder Manor, which blew my brain. I was like, 1% of people who have a VR headset have been in Murder Manor? What the flip? That's such a mind-boggling Quest VR headset, let's be clear there. But anyway, still blew my brain. So thank you all if you have played Murder Manor. Appreciate you guys. And I'm going to end the stream there. But yeah, thanks for coming out tonight. And I will catch you guys later. Jonathan, I think you're in the Discord, so we'll just continue the conversation there. All right. Bye! I think I have to wait for it to hit the stream before I hit in stream. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to wait 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boop. Ending stream. Sweet, guys. That was a lot of fun. That was
That
a
was
lot of
awesome.
fun. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the OBS recording.